In this tutorial, we're going to create a texture map that's going to make this 3D cube in Photoshop appear to be a shipping crate. We're starting with the assumption that you've gone in and you've created the wood pattern that will be used to generate the rest of the texture. We should be looking at the UV map that was wrapped around that cube. Each of these panels will have an identical face on it, comprised of a pattern made with the wood that we've generated from the PDF that was in the tutorial file. I've got the wood layer here, and I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to cut a piece of this out and start to fabricate the design I want. I'm going to hit M on the keyboard. I'm using the marquee, the rectangle marquee, to randomly cut out pieces of wood I think will serve the purpose I need to make this into a shipping crate. So once I've got a selection made, I'm going to copy it to its own layer. Now I could go to Edit Copy and then Edit Paste, or I can use the second keyboard quick, which is Command J. Now once I've generated that new layer, I'm going to turn off the main wood layer. I'm going to transform this, and I'm going to make a wooden frame around the perimeter of one of these boxes. I'll hit Command T, and then I'll start to scale this down. Now it's pretty subjective on the thickness of this, but what we do want to do is make sure however we scale it, and that it fits just on top of the white lines that define the UV map that was generated with the 3D cube that this will be put on eventually. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to scale that carefully, and now I'm going to duplicate that and put one over on the other side. Now if I wanted to manage my layers a little bit better, I could generate a copy of this by making a selection of it first, and that would allow me to keep one more copy on the same layer. So if I were to hold down the Command key and click on the thumbnail with that newly generated piece, it gives me the marching ants. Now I'm going to get my Move tool, because what we learned in CG page 16 is that if I hold the Option key over a selected item and I have my Move tool, I get two arrows. One is black, one is white. And what that represents is that if I were to drag on that now, I would get a duplicate copy. I'm going to hold the Shift key so that when I do drag it, I can keep it horizontal and have it exactly where I would like it to be. Now I'm going to deselect, and if I look at that layer by itself, both of those pieces are now on one layer. Now we need a piece to go across the top as well as the bottom. So I'm simply going to duplicate that layer in its entirety. Now, because nothing is selected, I could hit Command J, and it gives me a separate layer with the same content on it. Now it's a matter of transforming, which is Command T, and if I were to right-click now inside my document window, I can see the option to rotate that 90 degrees clockwise. And now I have the horizontal pieces that correspond to the sides as well. Now I'm going to set that scale, and I'd like this to have a degree of authenticity and seemingly a real wooden crate. These would be 45 angles, 45-degree angles here where the wood is put together. So I'm going to hit L on the keyboard, and it's going to take me to the lasso tool. Now, I don't want the cowboy lasso tool, I want the polygon lasso tool. So I'm clicking with my left mouse on the toolbar. And once that is done now, I can go in and I can click and go from corner to corner and delete those pieces. I'm going to continue and go to these corners on the second layer, select around the piece I'd like to cut, and delete that. So now I'm fabricating these 45-degree angles. That'll make this a little bit more believable as a shipping crate once we finish the detail work on it. Now I want this wood to have age to it. Right now it's a little too clean on the edges. So I'm going to go to my layer window. And in my layer window, I'm going to go to both of these layers and I'm going to put it both in inner and outer glow. I can go to the bottom of the layer window and click on FX and I can choose inner glow there. And I'm going to set it. I'm going to make the choke 2 and I think I'll make the size 15. I'm going to bump the opacity up a little bit to give it a little bit more of a darker value. I'll put it up to about 80%. I'll put the outer glow on as well. And that's going to give it a bit of a darker outline. You can see now it's starting to look more aged. I'll click OK. Now I'm going to right click on that layer and I'm going to choose Copy Layer Styles. I'll go down to the second layer with the vertical pieces and I'll right click and click on Paste Layer Styles. I'm going to hit Command S on the keyboard. Next, we're going to create some panels that would appear on the interior of this wooden frame that we just created.